welcome guys to week 4 of our confidence series. So I am Curlsandconfidence. I'm here with Tanya from NiaZamar.
Hey.
So guys, this week we want to talk about entrepreneurship and confidence, and I'm actually super excited because I love anything entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm the owner of Curlsandconfidence, and I'm a monthly subscription box. I love what I do. I love working with new people. I love creating different things. So believe me, entrepreneurship is like super close to the heart because there are so many things we can talk about when it comes to entrepreneurship. But to really kick this off, what you can expect in this video is that we will be talking about our experiences as entrepreneurs, why confidence is so important in the business world, and some takeaways that we really want to help you guys with to motivate you to start your businesses and really put yourself out there. Because when it comes to business, you have to have the confidence and the mind and the discipline, so many things to just go and do it. So without further ado, Tanya, please share with us. What do you do? What do you love? And let's talk about entrepreneurship.
Okay. I feel like entrepreneurship is an art, and I love art altogether. I am an entrepreneur. I'm actually feeling really grateful. I've just spent my first real full year being an entrepreneur, only an entrepreneur, not doing anything else, and it's been amazing. My company is NiaZamar, and what I do is mind, body, soul, beauty, wellness. So thinking about beauty as an internal thing and also an external thing, and it's all about empowering self-love through beauty. And I feel like the life of an entrepreneur comes with so many different roller coasters, but what I think is beautiful about entrepreneurship, what I have found at least, is it is alongside with my own personal journey. Like, I've seen how I've grown so much as a person, how it's really caused me to really step up to the plate and be my best self through being an entrepreneur.
The drive is not money. It's always, that's the second reason why they do it.
Yeah.
The passion behind why they do what they do. So I love entrepreneurship. Beautiful story. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it does come with some challenges, some difficulties.
For sure. That's actually the cool thing that we share is I launched Curlsandconfidence August 1st, 2016. You just hit your 1 year.
So technically...
Or 1 year as an entrepreneur.
Technically, my 1 year as a full-time entrepreneur, because I've been in business now for about 2.5 years, but I did spend the first year doing contract facilitation type artist work, which was really cool because it gave me a lot of wiggle room to be able to create my own schedule in doing those contract work and also run my business. But this is my first year of being 100%, no contracts, no other sources of income, so to speak, no other, for me, I see it as no other distractions, nothing else that has my attention but this is where I'm focusing all my energy, all my thought, all my creative power is in NiaZamar, and really developing it and growing to be what I feel like it can and will be.
That sounds good. Yeah, I mean, Curlsandconfidence, oh my gosh, there's so many fun things coming with Curlsandconfidence, and that's a cool thing too with businesses. It morphs, whatever you think it is. And I remember that was the first thing I learned when I was writing my business plan. It's whatever you think your business plan is now, it's 100% going to change. And that was so true with me. Just my business structure alone changed within the first 4 months. So what I thought I'd be looking at in terms of fixed expenses completely changed, and what I thought I'd spend the least on is what I spent the most on. So there's all those changes. So I think one of my favorite quotes, Robert from the Shark Tank, he wrote a book called Driven, and one of the chapters is embrace the chaos. And it's probably my new favorite line because as an entrepreneur, you truly have to embrace the chaos, the craziness, just everything that's going to be thrown your way. You're going to have to find different ways to handle it, to react. You have to be flexible. You have to understand, okay, I need to make a decision now and what's going to be the best long term. So it is a mental game as well as, for me at least, the physical game. There's so much going on at all times. You're constantly keeping up. It's totally a people game. And I think in any business, at the end of the day, you're dealing with people.
Yeah. Well, and every business is a people business. It doesn't matter what you do. It's about really building strong relationships, but not just strong relationships. I would say authentic and genuine relationships where you're truly connecting with people on a heart-to-heart level.
Yes and no. Yes and no. You know what I mean? Yes and no. Well, I see, like, for you, you are holistic mind, body, and soul. So you have to have that authentic relationship. I would love to have those authentic relationships with every single one of the brands I work with. It's just not always there, and that's okay, right? Like, not everyone can I have those deep relationships with, especially like with me. Every month I'm working with a new brand. So there are brands that I've really connected with back in March, and we're still really close. Like, I recently just started fitness classes. That's actually going to be starting next week, so I'm actually super excited. And one of the brands I had featured for March, she is a mom of 4, a wife. She has 2 businesses. One's a skincare business. One's a gluten-free bread mix. And she's a fitness competitor.
Oh, very cool.
So she is actually going to be one of my guest speakers for my boot camps.
Okay, cool.
Just to kind of share her experience. Because someone like her, I'm so motivated by. So although, like, we've had this amazing relationship in March, we were still able to carry it through. And then there's some people, you know, I work with ones. It was a great month. Thank you. And it's just business. In your branding, like, you got to say what you mean. Do what you say you will do. Act with integrity. Make sure you're delivering on your words, on your promises, on your commitments, ultimately. And those are what's going to define you and shape you, ultimately, in business, which is amazing. And reputation is totally everything. You know, how you treat that one person will spread. So you always want to make sure you treat every single person, if it's someone who is working for you as an employee, if it's someone who you're partnering with, if it's someone who's your influencer or another brand, everyone needs to be treated equally at all times, because it's ultimately going to come back to you and what you're going to look like to the outside world. And people can usually spot it too, right? Like, when we really come into authenticness, you just know. Like, I did an awesome video with someone, and this blogger DM'd me, and she was like, I love that you guys are so passionate about curls. She was like, I know everyone says love your curls, but you guys are truly passionate about curls, and people can see that.
I agree. I definitely agree. I feel like, for me, that coincides with it being connected to, like, who we are as people. And I'm curious from you, like, how does your identity play into your entrepreneurship? What does it look like? How do you be confident as an entrepreneur, specifically walking in your shoes in life? What does that look like?
It's a never-ending battle, to be quite honest. It definitely didn't come natural or normal, and it truly was one of those experiences that I really wanted Curls and Confidence to happen. It was actually something I've been working on for a few years, dating right back to when I was still at Sephora, and it was slow. And when it happened, it just morphed, and it just, I had to go with it. I was like, this is happening. Let's do it. But in terms of being confident, actually, I was telling Tanya earlier, I was supposed to launch my first box in July of 2016, but I didn't launch it till August. And I will tell you, I was scared shitless. Like, I was terrified of really starting my business, and I actually wrote myself a little note. So,
what were you scared of, may I ask? What was the big fear?
I was afraid of failing. I was so afraid of putting myself out there, starting this business, you know, going, hey, look at me and look at this big box, and no one wanting it, or just not having enough for the following month, or just ultimately letting myself down. And I still feel that pressure today. It's not like it's gone away. Like, there's still that pressure, like, oh my gosh, what's the next few months gonna look like, or what if this doesn't work, or what if, you know, and there's all those what ifs, and that's when you embrace the chaos, but you also, you boss up, and you're like, this will happen, this will work. And it's constantly trying to find that confidence in yourself, like, okay, I can do this, I can get this done, like, this has worked before, we can do this. So it's a constant battle, I think.
So what did the letter look like? What did you say to yourself?
Ooh, the letter was, Dear Christina. Like, I literally wrote to myself. I was like, Dear Christina, why are you afraid? And I was truly trying to rationalize to myself why I was afraid to start, why I was afraid to launch. And while writing to myself and thinking of all my fears, and it's coming out in this letter form, as if, you know, 2017 Christina's gonna read this and reply.
Similar to you, I did the same thing when I was starting my business. I remember being in my mother's home, like legit sitting on her kitchen counter being like, so mom, I'm about to start a business, but I want you to tell me why I shouldn't do it. Ooh. I legit was like, give me a reason. I wanted so badly for someone to talk me out of it. Like, and it sounds ridiculous, but like, that's how I felt. I was so afraid that I just wanted someone to tell me why I shouldn't do it. Because I couldn't think of a reason, why not to. But I was like, maybe someone will say something and it'll be like, okay, I'm going to go with that. My mother was like, she asked me a bunch of questions. And I had really thought this out. And I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was a little girl. I'd always known what I wanted to do. Always, like, as long as I can remember, I was really clear what I wanted. So she asked me all these questions, and she was like, you sound like you're good. Like, you're ready, go. And I was like, okay, no. And I called my friend, like, one of my closest friends, being like, give me a reason. And she legit said to me, you're looking for a reason not to do this, but there is none, and that's your reason to do it. And I was like, okay, I guess this is it. And from there, the piece about flying, like, I was so amazed at how everything just started falling together. Like, the second I had decided I was going to do it, so registered my business and then started working on my website and all the things, I just decided, and from I decided, everything started to fall into place and happening. And then to this day, almost 3 years later, from that moment of deciding, it's still just happening in all the ways that it comes together. And I'm like, oh, this is... And for me, to be honest, there are days where I feel like I'm flying. And I'm like, I can't imagine if that day where I was looking for a reason to be afraid, if someone actually gave it to me. I feel like that would have been so sad for me to not... To at least try. To at least allow myself... There's this quote I heard recently. I was watching this video with Jada Pinkett Smith, and... the quote was, I might butcher it a little bit, but the quote was something along the lines of a father saying to a daughter, I won't take away the privilege of you being allowed to make a mistake. And I feel like that comes with it. That doesn't mean, in flying, doesn't mean I haven't made mistakes. It doesn't mean I haven't had things along the way of this journey of entrepreneurship where I was like, ooh, I could have done it like that. But that's the beauty of it, is constantly innovating and constantly feeling like, how could I grow? How could I evolve? How could I do this better? How could I do this differently? And I feel like going back to the piece for me around identity, there's these ideas of like, well, because I'm really young, because that was one of my reasons. I was like, well, am I too young to do this? Yes. And I was like, am I too young? I'm a woman. I'm Black. There's all these things I was thinking of, like, that would be barriers and obstacles of why this would be a challenge for me. But I have found for myself that has become more fuel for me to want it more, for me to want to go harder at it, but also for me to create something that's really unique and for something that's really special, because my decision to do something that was specifically for folks that I felt like were not represented in mainstream beauty came from my experiences of mainstream beauty. And I feel like sometimes we are looking for that thing that seems like a barrier to be the reason why we're afraid, but really that's the thing that should like fuel us and see why we're special and why we have limitless possibility of how we could do something different, how we could like completely change an industry, and how we could like, you know, like push back against how we... Yeah, exactly. Ooh, because sometimes these things are not actually barriers. They're there to lift us and help us think differently and see things from a broader perspective.
Completely. And I think that was the common thing we share, is we both wanted permission. It's like we didn't have that enough for ourselves. So it's like, you have to find it. You have to find that within yourself. So ultimately that's what we want you guys to know is, you being an entrepreneur, we're all scared. We're all indecisive. We're all, but that's where you make that decision of being almost average. And I hate to say it like that, but, you know, being safe, working the safe job, the one you hate, but you know, you'll make your pay, you'll make your hours, you know, but you're bored. Like, what have you been gifted with? Yeah. And how are you utilizing it? And that's something you want to know when you enter business. You're entering it because you have a strength in something people need, something people are going to work for and pay for. And so for me, I know naturally it's being creative and creating. And that's one of my strongest strengths. So like with you, what do you feel like you're gift is?
I feel like my gift is, one, being an artist, being creative. I've always had a very creative mind to be able to see something and be like, ooh, there's a problem here. How could I solve it in a creative way? That's definitely one of my things. And people. I feel like I've always just felt like I could connect with people in a real heart-to-heart place, and which allows me to see them, like really see them past like the facades and everything, and like see who they really are. And I think we all need to be witnessed and seen. And I feel like those two things come together for what I've created with NiaZamar.
Do you have any, like, that one client or that one person that just made you go, this is why I do what I do?
I actually say this all the time. I feel really blessed because I've worked in salons. I worked in salons for like 8 years before starting my business. And I know that sometimes folks are actually like not fully in love with their clients, but I feel really blessed that everybody who comes to me now, I'm always amazed, and I literally love them all. And what I mean by that is our sessions are so deep and intense, and people cry in my chair, and I feel like they let me see the most vulnerable parts of their heart. So I want to be like, there's this one client that gives me that, but but honestly, in the hardest of times and doing what I do when things are really a struggle, I get to think about a multitude of clients who affirm for me. Like, one of my clients was saying, she was new and she was like, oh, I came here because I got a reference because someone told me that they come here and it's like spiritual renewal. And that, I was like, this is what people are saying? I was like, so...
You're like, yes, I'm not just prepared. I'm a spiritual renewal. You heal people. I think ultimately your gift is that you heal people. You're doing so much more than just the basics. Like, you're not just saying, okay, come sit in the chair, let me go. You're saying, let's talk. Let's look deep. Let's dive deep. Let me find your inner beauty. And let me show you what that looks like. That's what I think.
Yeah, thank you. And I ultimately feel like, going back to what you were saying about like figuring out what a person does innately, I ultimately do feel like it was a gift. It's something that I was born with, and I'm so thankful that I was guided to figure out a way to use that gift. But I think we all have that. We all have a purpose, something that we were born with innately. We can just do it, and it's about figuring out how we can do it in a way that we love, but also in a way that like allows us to get paid to do it. So, you know, because it's real.
Love what you
do.
Exactly. You want to love what you do. Like, there are some days I'm not going to get paid for certain things, but I just know I'm going to enjoy it, and I know my business will profit from it, and I know it's adding value to my company, to my brand. So it's not that you look at it like when you go to work, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to work and I'm going to be making X amount of dollars for my 9 to 5. But when you're an entrepreneur, you're more like, I am getting up today to go do X, Y, and Z. Probably spend this amount of money I may or may not ever see because I genuinely want to.
Agreed. So for you, what would be your 3 takeaways? Like, what would you say you do, maybe a weekly, daily, monthly basis, that really keeps you going in terms of having confidence as an entrepreneur?
Ooh, that keeps me going. I feed off people energy. First off, I'm a total empath. I feed off other people, and keeping yourself in that support system where it's other entrepreneurs and people that just keep going and keep hustling, and they have that relentless drive. Like, I'll actually tell you a story. Back in May, I went to one of my first hair, I guess you can say meetups or expos, and it was from one big brand, and I was with one of my good friends, and he was actually having his show coming up soon. So when he showed up to this hair expo, and I mean, this was at the Holiday Inn. It was a beautiful place. It was like $60 per ticket. It was a big event, but it was more of a seminar. Maybe that's what it was more of a seminar.
Okay,
right?
cool.
This
man
different. Shows up. No, this is a good story. This man shows up with a stack of flyers and another stack of business cards, and I'm just there, like, I'm just like, hi, I'm Christina, I'm Curlsandconfidence, like, you know, I can be a little soft some days, and this man is standing at the entrance, and anyone who was walking through was like, hey, I'm so and so, I'm having a show next week, I want to see you there, tickets are da-da-da, like, just that hustle, that drive. He wasn't stopping. And you know, it's kind of dying down now, and I know I'm about to head out, and he goes, where are you going? I'm like, I'm gonna go. The seminar's done. And he's looking, he's like, no, you're not going nowhere. He's like, where's your cards? Like, he put me on the spot that second, and he was like, you better go put yourself out there. And actually, when I got home, he called me and he was like, what happened? Like, he's very forward. He's like, what just happened? I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, where was your drive? Where was your hustle? Like, he was almost angry for me. And I'm like, listen, I was actually just a little off that day. Like, you know, you're just, you're not really feeling it.
Yeah.
That wasn't okay with him. He's like, there's no timeouts. There's no breaks. There's no, so, I know that's kind of that longer story, and I almost resented him in that moment, but looking back now, I'm like, I'm happy that I had that person to tell me I wasn't putting 100. So I think ultimately what keeps me driven as an entrepreneur is the people around me. Because the second I start slacking, the second I'm not doing what I do, or I'm not being that super creative, spunky person that I naturally am, someone's going to tell me. And you might hate them for that moment, but you will thank them, because you need someone who's going to put you in your place and remind you that this is where the bar is, and you're like, here. You're like, yeah, you can't really see my hand, but you're down. You are down, and you want someone to let you know you are down right now and get your ass back up. So that's ultimately what keeps me going, and I think my takeaways for you guys, and what I think will ultimately help you if you are someone deciding if entrepreneurship is something you want to invest your time into, is you have to be confident. You have to find that permission within yourself, something I just discovered is totally normal for us to feel. You need to find that permission and give yourself the permission to say, let me try. Yeah. What's the worst that can happen? One of my favorite lines, I can't take ownership for it, Felicia L. Hamilton, you can find her on Facebook. I love her as a mentor and just someone to listen to. It's boss up or stay basic. So I think that actually really motivated me when I was in school and university and I was working my 2 jobs, was kind of like, stay basic or boss up. And it was almost in that moment, it's a very simple choice. And that's also what kind of shifted me, where it was like, why be mediocre? Why settle for average and boredom when there is so much more to do? And what keeps you going? What keeps Tanya going?
I would say, number 1, risk is necessary. A friend of mine legit would always say it to me, and I have now taken it to be one of my own things where I live by it. Risk is necessary, because it's always going to be scary, but it's when we take those risks that we really elevate our life to the next place, that we really allow ourselves to step into who we truly know that we're supposed to be, who we truly feel called to be. It's so necessary to take that risk, whatever the risk is. Particularly in business, sometimes the risk is spending money on something that you're like, I know this thing is gonna help propel me forward, but I'm scared to spend this money because I'm scared I might not make it back. That's definitely a really real risk in business. But it's so necessary for us to take these risks on ourselves, on our dreams, to really propel us forward. I have had times, I think about vendors' booths. There's times where you're like, ooh, I'm going to spend money on this booth and I don't know if I'll make back all my money. And it's definitely a risk, but it's not just about making back the dollar amount of money. It's about the opportunity to talk to people, to get out there, to connect, to build relationships. There's all these other aspects of it. And I have had to learn for myself, those risks are necessary risks that we take in business. Take risks. It's necessary. I would say my second point is do your research. So when I decided that I want to be an entrepreneur, I went to college and took a continuing education course in entrepreneurship. And that for me literally has helped me in so many aspects of my business, feeling more confident because I feel like I have the skills and the information to do whatever I need to do within business. And when I wanted to get more into creating content, I went into a photography course. So for me, it's really just going out there. Even if you say, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to edit videos. Okay, well, go take a workshop, learn how to edit videos. I don't know how to take my own pictures. Okay, go take a class, learn how to take your own pictures. I don't know how to do bookkeeping, go take a class. So for me, doing research, and research isn't always taking class. It might be reading a book. We're talking about books that we love, so many entrepreneur books that we love. So reading a book, it might be a really great podcast.
It's actually funny because when you're talking about books, we met at an event.
Yes.
So back to the whole
exactly.
risk thing. You don't know, right? Like, you get yourself out there, you meet someone, you're like, hey, let's do a YouTube for
Exactly.
That's literally what happened. We met, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm Curlsandconfidence. She's like, hi, I'm NiaZamar. I'm like, cool. Let's meet up.
Exactly. And you never know. You just go out there and you try it and you take the risk.
And what's probably one of your last takeaways you want our listeners to hear?
What is for you can't pass you. Sometimes in business we get really competitive and we're like, we're so scared that someone's going to take something from us, whether it's our clients, our customers, our ideas, whatever it is. We get so afraid, and sometimes the fear stops us from really living to our fullest potential. But what I really hope folks take away from this is what's for you can't pass you. Going back to what we talked about, if it's your purpose, if it's divinely ordered for you, there's nothing nobody can do on this earth to take that away from you. It's yours. And all it really takes is for you to just be faithful to that calling, live into it, and to do the work necessary on your side to manifest it to be true. But no one can take it from you. It won't pass you. So you might as well go ahead and go grab it for yourself.
And that's, really to stress that if it's for you, because I love that saying, you have to do the work. Like, just because, it's lined up for you, and believe me, and I've become very spiritual on this entrepreneur journey myself. You have to want it, though. You have to go for it. It's not like, I really, 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 really want it, so please magically appear. It's not like that. It's you saying, okay, I want this. Here's my plan, and I promise you, you will get help.
Yeah.
You will get that guidance that you're needing. It's there. Sometimes you just have to have that courage to say, I'm ready, and I'm accepting of those gifts and those offers that are waiting for me, which is amazing. So we have a fun call to action. I am so excited. And I think, too, I've actually had a lot of clients just call me up and say, hey, can I pick your brain for a second and tell me their fun business idea or how they want to get involved. And one of my biggest recommendations for them is to prevent the fear of starting a business. Start something even as tiny as it is, because that's one thing about Curlsandconfidence I can share with you. Before I was a registered business, before I had anything set up, before I bought my domain name, before anything, I'd created an Instagram account. And it was just Curlsandconfidence. And that was actually the first advice my mentor gave me, was build yourself a market. And I will share that with you. I'm sure I'm not the first one to say it. So our call to action for those of you inspiring to be entrepreneurs is, I want you to create one social media account. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, something. The name can change. The name will change. I think I was back and forth with Curlsandconfidence. Curlsandconfidence was the original name, but in between I had 1,000 other names. Only to go, that was the name. It's super simple, and my goal is to motivate you. Just start this social media account. Whatever it is, whatever name jumps out at you, and you want to start building that following, that market, have an audience for yourself. And that is my challenge for those of you inspiring to start a business.
And I just want to add to that challenge to have follow through. Sometimes I think that we can get into this business of starting a bunch of different things but not following through. So follow through. Like, definitely make those 2 posts of that picture or that video, but be consistent and really allow yourself to build this.
So guys, thank you so much. That actually wraps up our 4-week series of confidence.
It's been such a good 4 weeks. I can hug me.
Yeah, we can totally hug. Tanya is awesome. I learned so much from Tanya, actually, so I love these type of collaborations and partnerships. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Please comment below. Tell us what your feedback is. But also don't hesitate to get in touch with either one of us. NiaZamar on Instagram, Curlsandconfidence on Instagram. I also have a podcast, which is Christina Piazza on SoundCloud, where I talk a lot more about entrepreneurship. I also have a lot of special guests. I've had Tanya as one of my guests a few weeks ago.
I actually have a second business where I only do entrepreneurship things. It's called trapmystic.com. There's like a whole ass website, and it also has podcasts on there too, because we love all things entrepreneurs. So it's right there for you to continue the conversation with us, particularly about entrepreneurship.
So we absolutely want to hear from you. Don't be a stranger. Tell us what you love. Tell us what you maybe dislike, because we're totally open to feedback. And we would love to bring more of this content if that is something you guys enjoy. So we really hope you gain value. We hope that you're feeling more confident. I hope you're ready to embark on your journey as an entrepreneur, but as well as the journey within yourself, your spiritual journey, your self-love journey, and just ultimately feeling more confident and loving yourself 20 times more.
Thank you for watching. Please continue the conversation with us outside of this space, but also, on Instagram, on Facebook. Like, we want to continue talking to y'all. So please connect and let's continue having a conversation about all things confidence and self-love. Thank you for coming back each week and just sharing space with us. And we hope to see y'all again and connect some more. Take care.
See you guys.
Peace.
Bye.